The real outlier to that is we've identified a district called Slider, which appears to be of high-grade epithermal mineralisation. That's just across the lake from a historical silver mine from an area that's produced almost 34 million ounces of silver, and grades there have been astronomical.
So hello and welcome to the Assay TV. Today I'm here at the One-to-One Mining and Energy Investment Singapore event with Troy Whittaker, Managing Director of Whitecliff Minerals. So Troy, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you very much.
And let's kick it off with just, an introduction into Whitecliff Minerals and its journey to date.
I think the last 12 months for Whitecliff has been a fairly remarkable journey. Changing strategy, changing commodity, changing jurisdiction, changing executive management. That has all revolved around the acquisition of two key projects in Canada, the Rae Copper project and the Great Bear IOCG project.
All right, so let's jump into some of your news flow, particularly regarding the Great Bear Lake project in Canada. And you've had really strong copper, gold, and silver grades reported out of there. Can you go a little bit into some of that?
Yeah, so the Great Bear project sits within a region in Canada that's been identified as having the highest probability for IOCG and silver in the entire of the Canadian country. It's evidenced in the east, just past Yellowknife, two fairly material IOCG deposits. We have quite a substantial land package in that area, and our focus has really been on understanding what mineralisation looks like in the immediate vicinity of some of those historical mines. So we've identified 6 areas through a field campaign, consisted of grab sampling, heli-supported, looking at what that strike looks like. So in those 6 areas, we've had fairly consistent grades of copper, ranging between 30 and 40%, gold, up to 38 grams a tonne, but consistently between that 1 and 3. And then silver, again, a reasonable grade, averaging between 100 and 200 grams per tonne. That's across the 6 districts. The real outlier to that is we've identified a district called Slider, which appears to be of high-grade epithermal mineralisation. That's just across the lake from a historical silver mine from an area that's produced almost 34 million ounces of silver, and grades there have been astronomical, upwards of 7% silver, upwards of 5% silver. So we are struggling to find anyone who has seen that sort of grade in the world, and that is quite exciting.
Absolutely. And, what sort of plans do you have for 2025 in terms of drilling in this area?
2025 is all about drilling, regardless of project. We'll see some results come back shortly around geophysics, and we'll start to really hone in on drilling. And at both projects, we'll look to get out there in Q1 of next year.
All right, so let's move over to your Rae project in Nunavut. You've been busy with a lot of exploration work on this one. What are some of the next steps for this?
I think Rae has posed us with a really interesting project. That high-grade volcanic mineralisation at surface across distance. Now we're waiting on assays to come back from that, but we've seen outcropping across hundreds of metres with real width and potentially at depth. And the mineralisation that we see there, consists of some of the highest grade copper minerals you can find. So your chalcocite, which sits at 80% weight, bornite at 60% weight by copper. This is protruding from the ground. So over at Great Bear, where we saw that 42% maximum grade, this has real potential to be something quite substantial at surface. And that can only play true for the sedimentary copper, which sits in the northern part. We know that copper has been protruding through those rocks. The rocks are extremely fertile. We have a 48-kilometre sedimentary group sitting on our licenses that has the potential to be something that is a major company maker.
All right, sounds great. And so maybe you can talk us through a bit about the advancement timelines for both the Rae project and Great Bear.
So you sort of wind back 12 months. We were a company that had some projects that was going through a transition. So in that exploration life, you start with a company, you get ground. We got ground in December and January of this year. We're now proving what the mineralisation looks like on the ground. Early next year, we then move to drilling and resource development and definition. after that, you start to going down the feasibility studies as to what might be.
And just to round things up for any investors that may be watching, what sort of milestones should we be looking out for in the coming months?
We are in for an exceptionally exciting period of months. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll see those assays from Rae. As I say, I'm hoping for something spectacular there. Following on from that, we've run what we think is the biggest geophysical campaign across a single area in Canada in recent history. Those results will start to come back. Given what we've seen at surface, the mineralisation at surface, seeing how that translates to anomaly under surface has real excitement value around it, because we can see what's there, what's below. That starts coming through, and then we're drilling in Q1 of next year. So exciting times at Whitecliffe.
Absolutely, and we'll have to catch up after that just to get some updates from you. So Troy, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you very much.